Hello, 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 hello. Bear with. Good morning. There's Nasreen. Good morning. Awesome. Hello. All right. Hello. Hello, Nasreen. Hello, Charlene. Charlene. I said it right. Okay. Hello, Brittany. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And that's voice. That's points right there. Hello, Ariana. Hold on. Hold on. Hello, Brandon. Hello,
Morning.
Xavier. Good morning. Oh, and that's voice right there. Oh, this class it makes me so happy. Good morning, Anissa. No, yes, Anissa. Hello, Colin. We've got such a quorum here. Hello, Alexis. Hello, Ethan. Hold on, and now the chat. And bear with me. I know you don't see the board yet. We're gonna give you a moment on that. Hold on, but chat. Hold on. Hello, Gaia. Good morning, Shaynel. Good morning, Anissa, which I am pronouncing correctly. I think you said, yes, you're nodding. Awesome. Thank you. And that's totally points right there. Awesome. Good morning, Nasreen. Someone else is here. Hold on. Good morning, Ariana. Good morning, Alexis. I know I already said that, but that was because of the avatar. Now I'm saying it for the chat. All right. Good morning, Adenelsi. Also an avatar. Awesome. Good morning, Brittany. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Colin. I know I already said it, but blah, 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 blah. All right. Who else have I not? Carolina, good morning. Mickey, good morning. Uh, I think that's everybody. By the way, again, that is not me taking attend. Anyway, you get it. You get it. Yeah, you get it. Okay, give me who else just came? Oh, hello, Judith. There she is. All right. And Ethan. Hello, hello. All right, awesome. Oh, and good morning, Carolina. Awesome. All right, give me a second because the board was giving me trouble right before we started. So I think yeah, bear with me for a second while I get the board going, and then we'll like do physics or something. Um, yeah, hang on one second. Sorry. Okay. I have not forgot. I'm still here. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, a little wackiness. Uh, it should work. Okay. Okay, tell me if this works. And then I apologize for the delay. This should work in a second. And then assuming it does, um, if you don't mind reminding me, I don't know if you can hear me right now. I know I'm not looking at the screen, but if this works because there is like a technical issue I'm having today. So if you guys could remind me, like I would like to end 10 minutes early uh, uh, because this is going to happen again with the next class, and it's going to like mess things up for the rest. It's going to snowball for the rest of the day. So if um if so I'd like to end 10 minutes early. We'll be efficient. We'll get everything done, and we'll leave 10 minutes early. But that means 10:40 instead of 10:50. So if someone could just politely let me know in the chat or something at like 10:30 that I should start wrapping up and I should be aware of the time, that would be really helpful. And I could get you out of here at 10:40. I'm assuming this works because I can't go through this every time today.
At 11:40,
Oh,
Last
sorry.
time at
Sorry.
12.
That's what yeah, I mean, right. Thank you. Wait. Oh, no, I'm totally off. Hold on. Yes, thank you for paying attention. That's totally points, by the way, and for using your voice and everything. Right. This actually ends at 12:05. Sorry, I'm thinking it ends at 10:50. It ends at 12:05. So we'll end at 11:55. So if at around 11:45 you could let me know, just like that I should wrap up or not get, if it's not your responsibility, but if you wouldn't mind, like at around 11:45, just politely giving me a high sign, that would be great. Now, I think the board will work right now. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, again, I don't want to put everybody through this. Alarm has been set. Okay, thanks. Otherwise, oh my God, otherwise it would have gone now. Right, right. Thank you. Yes, you all got, you should all submit for like multiplayer co-op for respectfully correcting the professor. Like there's a million portals you can all now submit to get points for that. Seriously. Okay, but now I think we can start. Right. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at the chat. Right, right, right. Alarm has been set. Okay, thank you. All right. So let's get rolling now because that was um fascinating. We'll get straight to it. Okay. Physics wise, in a minute, what I want to get back to is to kind of quickly finish going over homework one number line, which we've been talking about for like days because we're setting up all the practices and principles for physics, for the rest of the semester and the next one. But now we can start like moving along and getting information. So in a minute, um, we'll wrap up that sheet. It'll be very important. I'm going to go a little bit, I'm just going to kind of give answers. I don't even remember where we are, but I'm going to give answers and I'm really going to ask you guys, for the most part, they're going to ask you guys to stop me and tell me where you don't agree with an answer or don't understand an answer or want a further explanation. Right, and I'm going to trust you to drive the ship that way. The goal is to get into homework two, talking about it today, even if we don't finish it. But the goal is to get into homework two, particularly problem four of homework two, the Hill figure problem. I'd like to get into that today, you'll know if we get into that today, then it'll be okay to leave early. Like, we will have achieved our goal. Um, but some bookkeeping items first. I think it really seems like you guys and I are on the same page here. Like most of you have done homework one, gotten it back. Many of you I asked you, I didn't give you all the points. I told you what to do revision wise to get the rest of the points. And many of you have already done revisions and gotten a lot more points, which is great. And it shows we're in a dialogue. If you did homework one on time and you got any kind of points for it at all, you still can do revisions to get all the rest of the points. If you got most of the rest of the points, but you didn't get all of them, you can revise again. Like, I think you get it. It's awesome. And mostly I think you get two that like the issue right now is not physics. The issue is let's just like establish the 5-step method, like establish how we're going to do physics for the next two semesters. And then, and that's like where the thought comes in or where the points come in. And once we get that, you'll see, I think it's a lot easier and clearer to do harder physics as it gets harder and harder. So even homework two, most of you have done homework two. Yeah, average speed. And most of you have gotten back already. One time. Now, of course, a lot of you did homework two before you got tons of comments on homework one. So it's totally understandable that it's still like the same issues. A lot of the issues are just like showing all the steps, right? So if you didn't get a lot of points on homework two, I think it was worth 25, whatever. If you didn't get a lot of points on homework two or you were missing a lot of points, but you're like, oh, well, I didn't know this then, but now I know it. Understood. It's not a criticism. I understand you didn't know it when you did it or whatever. That's why you can still get all the points. I think from seeing all the work that everybody's been doing so promptly, I mean, I think this is increasingly clear with you guys. So still, as long as you did homework two on time, you can still get all the points, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then homework three, which many of you did, which was like due right now, I think. but I still got many, many of them from you and turned back many. Homework three, I didn't put a lot of comments. Let me just very quickly say with homework three, which wasn't mathy. It was like exploratory. It was like hopefully not as stressful, but maybe I don't know. Maybe it was time consuming, but it wasn't. But it was like there were a lot of different possible answers, not necessarily right or wrong answers. It's all meant for a discussion that we will have soon. But I want to tell you, even in homework three, I still want a self in everything. I want a self-sufficient document. If I ever wrote on your thing, self-sufficient document or SSD, what I mean is like, don't write the answers on the original pieces of paper and hand in a document. The idea always is you're handing in a document that anybody and everybody who knows physics could follow, even if they didn't see the original prompts, but you're not copying and pasting the original prompts. You're distilling them down to your own words. Which is annoying, but super important. Like, I don't want you to copy. I don't want to see my original questions, but I do want the meaning of my original questions to be clear in your document. Again, right now, that is irritating to all of you. I'm sure I don't mean it to be irritating, but I know it is. But hopefully, it's just that irritating, not hard, right? So even in the train of thought thing, like, so if you got 19 points, but not a lot of feedback on the train of thought, if you got 19 points, but not a lot of feedback, that's my quick way of just saying to you, no, even here, I need the steps. I need to be able to look at what you're doing and know where you are, what you're saying without looking at anything else. So you need to say, like, is the train moving? And then if your answer was E or something, like literally make clear what E means. E means both or not enough information or whatever it means. Like, I don't even remember. You don't have to do that every time. This is always the standard in all kind of physics documents or journal articles or whatever. Like, once you say at the beginning, like, E means not enough information, if you're going to write E a million times, then you can always like just say C above or remind, you can somehow, but somehow I have to be able to follow what you're doing in your document without looking at anything else. So that means step one, step two, step three is like step four and step five. Step three and step four might be super quick, but they're there. Okay. So if you got a 19, I'm just asking you go back and just see where you were probably just putting answers, but not making the questions clear or something like that. Don't kill yourself over it, but just make it so that I know what you're saying. Okay, I think you get that. So, but I think you guys are doing great. Like, most people are totally on top of the homework, and I don't think it looks like everybody's like understanding what's going on. So that's great. So in a second, as I say, I want to go back to number line. Um, and yeah, as many of you saw, what we really want to get to here is the meat, homework two is where the physics started getting a little bit interesting. The last two problems of homework two, the answers are slightly unexpected. And but many of you got them right, and that's great. But definitely there's something to talk about, but they're not obvious. And in fact, it's somewhat apparent or possible that many of you like used past videos, or some of you might have even looked at past videos to get the answers to question four and five of homework two. Are you allowed to do that? Totally. I mean, I'm thrilled if you do that. Absolutely. It's a resource. You could do whatever you want to do homework, but you do whatever you want in order to figure out an understanding that you didn't already have. Like, you do whatever you, including talk to your friends, including the MSRC, including your uncle or aunt who just got a Nobel Prize in physics. All great. But that's to teach you the thing you didn't understand. And then you make that 100% clear in the homework. Well, you don't just like write it down. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. So if I ever write, well, I guess we'll get this, but if I write SSD, it means self-sufficient document. It means I need a self-sufficient document, like I just explained. If I write www, it means what is this? Why is it true? Where is it from? Okay, www is like a polite way of saying, whoa, whoa, that was totally out of like that. That might be true what you just wrote, but it seems out of left field to me. So you need to explain and justify. All right. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna start. I don't have a license. Do not trust. I do not. I think that's funny. I'm looking at the direct chat. I do not have a license. Do not trust. I'm not totally sure I get that, but I think it's funny. All right. Oh. I thank you for the follow-up. Okay. Sorry. Killing me. You're killing me, Larry. Yes, someone in the chat, direct chat. All right, I told you to, I trust you to drive, and someone in the chat saying I shouldn't trust you because you don't have a license. Some of you, fair enough. Um, but I really do. In fact, you know what? Even that I'm going to take as you driving, and that's like a very polite way of saying, "Yeah, Verbam, get on with it already." Like we're listening, we get it. So I will go on. All right. So I'm going to first, I let's talk about homework one. We want to wrap up homework one. Um, uh, and let's even remember the one thing we have so far as equations are concerned, the one and only equation we have so far, which really means in a way, the most explicit, informative step three GDP that we have so far, hello, is what I just wrote. Um, is that equation average displacement oh my God, don't trust me to drive. Average velocity equals displacement over time. Or far better way to say it, average velocity is defined to be displacement over time. Notice it's a triple equal sign. So the reason it's our one equation so far, and and why we rely on it is because it can't be wrong. It cannot be, there can't be exceptions that would be discovered for this in a laboratory, even in the future, even with better technology, because this was never discovered in the laboratory in the first place. This is a definition. We are just saying from now on, instead of saying displacement per time, every time, we're going to say average velocity we're going to say average velocity. Sorry, I keep getting into it. I'm going to put sorry, one thing when the board didn't work, I'm going to put my phone on whatever you call it. Don't interrupt, I'm teaching, whatever that setting is. Don't interrupt, I have ADHD, that setting. Right. Okay. I'm not making fun. Some of my best me have ADHD. Um, they just didn't have that diagnosis when I was growing up. They just said, okay, anyway. I'm not joking. I am joking, but I'm not. Okay, let's go. So number line, maybe now here's where you can help me. What was the very last question that we went over in number line? The very last question that I'm looking to, oh, we did. Oh, I think was it four? I'm looking at the chat. Wait, four. Oh, does anybody want? Well, I believe, well, tell me though, the last answer I believe I gave you, yeah, was number four. Stop me if that's wrong or confirm or deny. I believe we said the answer to number four on homework one. Here, well, I believe we said was average velocity is zero. Does anybody want to confirm or deny that before I lose everybody? Well, is that a Xavier? Yes. I mean, is that a yes? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Thank you. Direct chat. Well, thank you, Xavier, because I think I just got like human interaction from you, which I totally appreciate. But then, all right, someone in the direct chat is saying that I gave you rapid answers through question six. Okay. Right. And that's sort of what I'm gonna, and I don't want to go too rapid. I want to pause and slow down on anything you want me to pause and slow down on. So I went through question six. Okay. Oh, that is actually what I meant. Question six. Yeah. Okay. But right, I did go rapidly. Well, here's what I'm going to do. You honestly tell me if you have any issue with question three or question four, question five. Right now, I'm going to just expand slightly on question six, but I'm going to watch the chat. And it's not wrong for you to ask me to go back. As you can tell, I will rabbit hole on anything if I don't force myself to keep moving forward. So I'm going to move forward unless someone tells me to move back. Okay, honestly, I'm looking at the chat again. Oh, last one I have. Okay, yeah. So question 6, and I'm not doing the steps now. I feel like you've seen me do the steps enough. I'll do the steps again when the questions get really thick. But well, fine. All right. I guess I will actually. All right. You have the diagram already in your notes. I have the diagram. I'm not drawing it again right now. Um, Step 2, the question is uh, the question is from t equals 0 to t equals 5. What is the average velocity, right? And see, now that we have like notation and equations, now you could start like taking all of my English words and distilling them down to simpler things when you write the question. The question is from t equals 0 to t equals 5, what is the average velocity? Oh, there should be a bar. My bad. There should be a bar right there. Um, right. And so step 3, I literally, for step 3, I write the GDP, which is that average velocity equals displacement over time, i.e., final position minus initial position per time. Right? I write that. That's my step 3. So now step 4, particular application and work. Now I'm going to apply that general concept to the specific problem. So I'm going to signal that I'm like zooming into the problem now. I generally say something like here. I say something like here, um, well, t certainly equals 5, right? X naught was given by the problem. The instructor starts at the positive 4 feet mark, right? And X final, I guess, was also given by the problem. I mean, it tells you that he took the first 3 seconds to go all the way to the -2, and then he takes 2 seconds to go back to the 4. So the final position is also positive 4 feet, right? Sometimes that's a matter of have to do calculations or inferences to figure out facts like that. But here they were sort of just given to us. So I'm going to say, according to step 1, right? Like these were in the diagram and fact problem of the problem, which was like above somewhere. Um, so V equals 4 minus 4 over 5. And I put in the units and all that. And so my final step is that from t equals 0 to t equals 5, the average velocity equals 0 feet. Oh my God. Oh my God. Someone's at my door. Excuse me for a second. That's crazy. Hold on. Yeah. Hi. Hi. Good. Thanks. I'm in the middle of teaching a class.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So
Guys, you should text my info about the CMP's rate hikes.
okay, we're not even if you could come back another time, I can't.
I got you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye. Okay. Sorry. So V okay. Right. So this is the sorry. Okay. So that's the answer now. Sorry. I see the chat now. I missed that 5 minutes ago. Okay, let me collect my. So someone's asking in the chat, can I just like repeat rapid fire the answers to the other 5 questions? Sure, that's reasonable. Can I do that? I'll do that in a minute though. Let me just like finish this thought here. But yes, I will do that. This is the answer to question 6. This is the method. Same method as all the prior questions. Certainly, if anybody has any questions about this method, they should please speak now. Um, and again, please don't let the fact that I speak so quickly like intimidate you. For I speak quickly until someone stops me, but then I'd rather stop and do what you want. But anyway, I just want you to note if you don't have questions about how I got this answer, if you don't have questions about how I got this answer, do note that the answer I got is 0, right? And it's because the displacement was 0, meaning not the distance, right? It doesn't mean there was never any motion. It doesn't mean there was never any progress or anything like that. It means that we ended up where we started. In other words, that this was what we're going to call in physics, this particular segment, this was what you'd call in English a round trip, or what we call in physics a closed path, right? You could say round trip, but round trip tends to like make you think like round, and there's nothing literally round about this. It's all in one dimension, but it's a path that closed itself. Very important, like an electrical circuit, for example, which could be round but doesn't have to be round. So anytime you end up where you start, we call that a closed path, and it is necessarily the case, always, that that the total displacement for a closed path is 0, and the average velocity, therefore, for a closed path is 0. Even though the speed may be very, very high, right? I just want to make sure that's clear. And I hope you realize too, like the average velocity could have been negative if we had ended up to the left of where we started. So velocities can be negative or 0 or positive, even while speeds are always positive. And that is ultimately because velocity is what we call a vector quantity. It's taking into account direction in a way that like speed does not. Okay, so okay. Now, and I'm still going to rapid fire this, but this is great. And again, please, those of you who are putting anything in the chat, look for any and all portals that you can get points for doing that. I'm serious. And you might be double dipping or triple dip. Like there might be more than one portal. Fine, great. You deserve them. So I'm looking. So I'm really glad that you're in the chat. So I'm looking at the chat. For step 5, the circling of the answer, if we do it on the doc. Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. Okay. So someone's asking in the direct chat, like when I circle the answer, if you're doing your homework or your exams, can you like highlight instead of circling? Especially if you like put a key on the top. First of all, I love keys of any kind or legends on the top where you say this means that. Awesome, always. But second of all, yeah, highlighting is totally fine. Like frankly, even if you don't put a key, highlighting is fine. Very fair question, because apparently I am particular about these things. The bottom line is that you want to make it absolutely clear when you land on an answer that you know that that is the answer, and you want to make it clear to the reader. All of this stuff sounds kindergartenish, I know. It turns out half the stuff I'm telling you to do, telling you to do, I swear I didn't really appreciate until the second time I went to graduate school. Like, it turns out that the smarter you want to get, or the more you want to understand the universe, the kind of more you have to bring your own brain back to kindergarten habits. Like, turns out, well, everything I ever want to learn, ever want to know, I learned in kindergarten. Like, there really is wisdom to that. It never seems that way, but it's true. So part of the deal with highlighting completely fine, awesome. The bottom line is it's one thing to give an answer, it's another thing to say, by the way, I'm committing to the fact that this thing right here is the answer. Like it's a commitment, and it just makes it's an act of connection with the reader. It's saying I know who you are out there. I know what you're looking for. This is what you're looking for, and you're saying I don't want to waste your time anyway. It's like I'm wasting your time right now. So yes, highlighting totally fine. Thank you. Oh, and the direct chat person just wrote thank you, which means I can move on, which I will. So he or she should submit that into the closing conversational path. Or right, as in close, you get it. Okay. So now someone asked me to rapid fire yes, I'll rapid fire the answers to the prior questions right now, just because somebody asked. But I will explain them if and only if anybody asks me to. So the prior questions. And even right, okay. And even this, like this would not, if you did this for your homework, I would not be happy. I'm just doing this, right? Because you would want to say like the distance equals 21 feet, etc. Do you want to circle it? But question three, what's it? Average speed. I always get, is it like that? Something like that. You can tell me if I rounded that wrong, if I did the decimal wrong. Um, well, all right, no, I guess I can be exact about that one. Sorry. Uh, okay. So I believe these are the answers for the first six. I'm going to look in the chat again. Again, if that's clear, if it's okay, if you don't have any issues with those, I'm going to move on. I'm waiting, going once, going. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. That is gutsy. Okay. Thank you, Elsie. And remember, she can now submit not only to the like for right or wrong portal, like because she like did anything she answered, but also she can submit to the portal that says please go forward, which means that's what I mean by you're driving. Like seriously, like I'm taking and I mean I'm like totally contradicting myself, but like that tells me I can move on. So I'm moving on. So she should get points for helping the class that way. Okay. And it doesn't mean that someone else can't say, wait. If someone else said wait, that would you both get points, but that would I would honor that. Anyway, you get my point. So I'm gonna move on. Okay. Uh so part two. I think I'm gonna do the same thing again because I think you guys seem to be pretty clear on stuff. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to give the answers again, but here it's harder now, obviously. It gets a little so somewhere someone's going to stop me and say that one I don't understand, okay? And you can use the direct chat for that. It's not to embarrass anybody. But okay, so I'm just going to write the answers. Oh, yeah, well, okay. And again, just notice one subtle thing. When it's like scalar quantities, when it's like distance or average speed, I write it out in English. But once it's vector quantities like displacement or average velocity, I use the symbols because it's like it becomes more real physics in a way. Not, I shouldn't say you get what I'm saying. And if I don't put a positive or negative sign, it's assumed I mean positive, like just like regular math class. Um, yeah, okay. Okay. All right, so I think, well, yeah, I think those are the answers to part two. Um, I'll pause for a second if there's any issues. I'm going back and forth between the sheet and the chat. Okay, I'm going to move on in a second if there's no, but notice one thing, because this is a pattern in future physics problems. Notice some of it's not meant to be that hard. Dangerous thing for me to say. Everything is hard to a certain level. Things are differently hard to different people, whatever. But like if some of these, if you were like, this seems like, is there a trick somewhere? Or like even like the last three, they're like the last four, they're the same answer. And you might even be thinking, shouldn't he have like maybe given a question where something is moving to the left or something, and then I'd have to get a negative? Like, shouldn't some of these be negative or something like that? Like maybe, but one thing, but maybe not. Like don't overthink physics. Again, I promise you, it'll get on its own. It will require enough thought on its own physics. And one thing that happens is, like this whole sheet, I'm about to go to the next section where it does require even a little bit more thought, right? It always builds. And the next section, whether you get it right or wrong, since it's the last section, it builds from information that we acquired in the early sections. So, one test taking strategy or like homework doing strategy to bear in mind is sometimes a question in the beginning of a sheet or a part at the beginning of a problem or in the middle of a problem, it might not be that crazy hard. And you might even think, wait, this has got to be a trick or like there's got to be something I'm not thinking of. Like, why does this seem so straightforward? And the answer might well be it's straightforward because we are just trying to have you identify information that you are going to need later. Like, because that's how physics works, is that we try to go one step at a time from like average speed equals distance over time. Doesn't everybody agree with that? Like, isn't that just kind of like a dictionary kind of page? From somehow we get from that to like we believe in black holes, right? Like, and I'm not kidding, right? Or whatever it is you read in the New York Times that makes physics like wild and interesting, or like we believe that particles are entangled and an electron over here can affect an electron over there with that, miles away, like in no time at all. I believe all that stuff. I love all that stuff. Obviously, in the long run, and maybe that's why I do physics, maybe. But really, what I love is not just all this crazy stuff like black holes or time dilation. What I love is that the crazy conclusions of physics, the seemingly surprising conclusions of physics, follow logically one step at a time from stuff that I can't argue at all. Like, well, average speed is distance per time. Like, really, the beauty of physics is that we go from things that we all agree on through step by step logic to things that we never expected. That is the beauty of it. And so, every problem in physics, it's not meant to be babyish or something. It's literally every little problem in physics is like a micro view of what physics is doing in general, which is guiding us logically from things we already agree to things we didn't expect. So, in a problem, whether it's an exam or a homework, if you feel like you're being asked a couple of questions that you're like, really, what's the big deal here? I'm not saying you all feel that way, but like if and when you do, then the answer might be, okay, take a note of the information you just wrote down, because if later on in the problem you start struggling and you don't know what to do next, a big hint is look back at the information that you established earlier that you thought was easy. That's probably what you need. Okay, so for example, I'm just looking at the, there are questions in the chat. Woohoo! Okay, good. All right, so wait, there's a couple questions in the chat. Why is the last answer positive? Maybe because I made a mistake. Maybe let me look. Hold on. I might have made a mistake. Let me look at um the final the last wait, the last question. The last answer is positive, not negative. The last one is during the final 3 seconds of his journey. Oh no, because I'm totally wrong because I made a mistake. Okay. The whole speech is still true, but you're absolutely right. I'm so sorry. The last, and you should definitely submit. There's a portal that says respectfully corrected where you correct the crazy man at the front of the Zoom room. Me, definitely submit for that, especially because you did it politely. Thank you. Yes, the last answer should be negative. I totally misread the question. Is there any other? But I think that's the only one, right? Yes. And by the way, can everybody just raise your hand if you're good? Don't worry. Thank you. No, but you still should get points for that. I mean, thank you. I mean, I'll survive the total crushing blow to my self-esteem. But no, that's good. Also shows you're paying attention. Wait, so there were two people in the chat that pointed out you should definitely both submit for points. But okay, quickly, just raise your electronic hand if you just caught that I just corrected question 6 because I don't want like wrong things in your notes. Just raise your hand if you just thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Nasreen. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Adam Nestle. Thank you, Britt. Okay. And that too, you could submit for points for that. You see, it's like almost a class, right? We're just missing the third dimension. That's all we're missing. Okay, okay. All right, thank you. That's a correct. Okay, but there's still the whole speech still applies. Maybe I just made that speech to give you time to challenge my answers. Okay, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to move on then. Going once, going to part 3. What time is it? Oh, okay, we're doing fine. Why am I so frantic? Because that's the way I was born. Okay, so part 3. We'll get into white now because I think this is a little bit more. So part 3. Okay. All right. Uh, okay, so step 2, like at t equals 7, what's x, right? That's what they're asking. Okay, well, step 3, the only thing I know, really, I mean, the only real principle I have at this point, if I'm going to start, I think that it says I must think, it's warning me, I'm going to have to do like some math or something. So the only like mathematical thing I know so far is this definition that average velocity equals dis equals displacement per time. That's what I know. Um, Now what's that got to do with anything? Good question. The question's asking me, the question's asking me for position X. So of course, okay, so now it's starting to be a little bit like physics. Like the piece of knowledge I have is a definition that's then symbolically captured in the form of an equation. Okay, now it's an equation. It's math. It anything that I can do in math, like algebra or trigonometry or calculus, like applies to this equation. So if I'm looking for x, certainly I can rearrange this equation now, right? And I could say something like, well, sorry, I could go step by step. I mean, obviously, some of us are faster at this than others, but I could do something like this. Right? I'm looking for x, so I could rearrange the equation to solve for x. And I advise that you do that. Like that's how I'm beginning step 4. Like notice, I will start plugging in numbers for sure, but a good habit in physics is to postpone the numbers as long as you can. Like do any kind of algebra or generalized analysis first. Like do the physics thinking first and then plug in numbers at the end. If for no, there's many reasons for that, but one reason is if you do happen to make a calculator error or something, you'll make it at the end. So you'll get a ton of points and be super correct in all your physics before you make that small error. And then it'll just be a small error as opposed to bleeding through all your analysis. So I've done that. This is all step 4, right? I'm doing the work now. Now I want to be careful. And I don't, you may want to put this in your notes or put it in English. And again, some of you have already like taken snapshots of your notes and submitted them for points, which I totally appreciate. That is totally encouraged. 2 quick things about that. Some of you are like snapshotting your notes and like putting into the daily game turn thing. I mean, you can do that. That's fine. But just notice, since they're notes, like you also will get more points if you additionally submit them into the note taking portal, which is called like well noted or something like that. Um, and I particularly appreciate that some of you have gone the effort of making it clear in your notes, like some people, at least 2 people, even like everything they wrote in their notes that I didn't literally write on my board, but I said they highlighted. That's awesome. I mean, that is just totally awesome. So yes, so please be aware that's another place to get points in the class. But so here I'm going to say something that I don't quite know how to write down. I'm going to like start plugging in numbers here, but I'm going to be careful. I am like what am I going to plug in for T or X naught or V naught? What I'm going to do here in my mind is zoom in on one particular constant speed segment, the constant speed segment that uh, contains the 7th second, right? Like that might be obvious to some of you, but let's be clear about it. Like, okay, I'll say something like, um, consider only the last right? Because the information is different for each segment. There's a different constant speed or constant velocity for each of those 3 segments. So if I want something to plug in for V or whatever, I only want one number. And then I want all the other values to be consistent with that number, right? So I'm going to zoom in on the last segment, the one that contains the 7th second. Sorry, if there's something in the chat, I don't see it yet. I'll look back in a second, just recopy. So I have this. Oh, and notice all, well, I mean, we all understand that I was born this way, but why is my board necessarily have my personality? How does that work? Why is my dog neurotic? Well, it shows nurture over nature, right? Because I don't think my dog's parents acted this way. Okay. Um, so I'll look at the chat in a second. But so what I'm basically saying is if I focus on that last segment, this is where the fact that 2 people in the chat corrected me was really good because the average velocity for the last segment was -3 feet per second, right? And the time for the last segment, like the amount of time, okay, this is a little tricky actually. The amount of time in the last segment that the instructor was traveling from the beginning of that segment until the moment in time that we're considering, which is t equals 7, right? That total amount of time, as far as I'm concerned, is 2 seconds. Now, that I may need to repeat or clarify to somebody, which I'd be happy to do, but I'll go on for a moment. But I believe the time is 2, right? And X naught, I'm going on to the next line there. X naught means the initial position for that segment, not the initial position for the whole thing. And not like the initial position of the universe, the position when time started ticking for this mini phenomenon that I'm focusing on, right? So where was the instructor at the beginning of this? I believe the instructor was at position -2, right? I'm just going to finish this and then I'm going to look in the chat and see if there's It would be very reasonable if there was a question on this. In fact, it's also very reasonable that I've made a mistake, which I already feel like I already have. Wait a minute, six. I totally have made a mistake. Wait, it's -2. I have made a mistake. Hold on. I have made a mistake. Oh, it's because it's four. It's four. Sorry, sorry. I mean, all the logic I just said is right. I just put the wrong number in for that. Right, and that's correct. Right. Okay. So I believe this is the answer. I will look in the chat. You'll either tell me that the answer is wrong or you don't understand. But 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 it would be very fair. Make sure you believe all of that. Okay, I'm looking at I'm switching screens. There's nothing in the chat. So are we honestly good with that? For real? For real? Can I get electronic? Can I get a witness? No. Can I get an electronic hand or something that is okay to everybody? Don't, oh, that's a one. Okay, two. Awesome. Right. I'm not trying to intimidate. Okay, awesome. That's great. I'm going to move on. And again, if really you're thinking now, too many people just said yes, I don't get it, but I'm not admitting it. But then just take a screenshot of this and email me or text me or right. It's okay. But okay. But I'm going to go on if no one. Okay, so then the very last question, I think is super based on that one. I mean, I think the hard part was that. Uh, Pretty much, but okay. So the last one. Um, so this question is, right? That's the question. So that's step two. Again, I'm just assuming we have a diagram up there in the ether, but that's step two. Step three, I honestly, at this point in physics, I literally do not know what we would write as step three other than this. That's like all we have that we know that does anything useful, but it's surprisingly useful. I'm going to pause for a second too because I think this is all clear to people. Notice a couple of things. Notice like our step three that I keep using is a definition. Like that's why I believe it. It's a triple equal sign. It's always true. Notice that up here at the top of the page, when I wrote x equals vt plus x naught, right? Like the rearrangement. Notice two things. One, that's now a double equal sign, right? Like I'm not defining displacement to be how fast you go per a certain amount of time plus where you started. Like that's not a definition. That's a consequence of a definition, right? Subtle distinction. But why am I making a big deal? Because I also want you to know to a lot of people, especially after high school, think physics is like a whole bunch of equations to memorize. Like, then that's what it's about, memorizing or looking up tons of equations. Actually, that's not what it's about. It is about equations, but it's not about a ton of them nor memorizing them. Physics, the goal of physics is actually to have as few equations as possible to describe the universe. Like, seriously, the deeper we go in physics, the smaller our list of equations becomes because the more and more we see how things that seem unrelated actually are related. Like for real, comma yo. So what I'm saying is partly the whole purpose of this whole step method and like drumming in step three and the difference between step three and step four is I want to say right now, V bar triple equal sign x minus x naught over t. Okay, that's an equation. If you were to memorize anything so far or like, tattoo something on like the back of your eyelids, gross, so that you see it all the time, it would be that. Like that is our foundational principle so far. Anything else is just coming from that. And there's no need to memorize. That thing at the top of this page should not be memorized. It just turned out to be true and helpful right now. Might turn out to be true and helpful again, but it ain't a principle. Okay, just saying. Oh, why am I saying all that? Because question 4 and question 5 of homework 2 are really meant to test that distinction. Just saying, for question 4 and question 5 of homework 2, which we're almost up to, you still the only piece of knowledge we have is like average velocity equals displacement per time, or average speed is defined to be distance over time. That is all we know and all we need to know to solve question 4 and question 5. Anything else, like average to average two numbers, you add them together and divide by 2, or you multiply the two numbers together and then divide by their sum, which is fascinating, which was on a lot of people's homework, and I have no idea where it came from. Like, I would be very careful about all this, like, other stuff. Some of it got you the right answer, but I need to see how, why, where, justification. And some of it got people totally the wrong answers. So what we know right now is this. Okay, I'm going to move on. Wait. Oh, yes. Yes. No. Thank you. I was so polite. Oh my God, that's so polite. Okay. Okay. So the 11:50, thank you. I see all the warnings. So the 11:45 means I have to start wrapping up, start wrapping up. I gave myself the 10-minute. No, thank you for being so polite. Yes. I have to start. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna do this last problem to make sure we have the right answer. And then I'm gonna say things about homework 2. I'll say the answers to the hard questions of homework 2. But yes, okay. Okay. I will shut up. Just do this. Right. Right. Okay. Did that kind of fast, but bottom line, I think, right? We want the average velocity for this middle weird chunk. Notice a weird chunk that involved some of segment 2 and some of segment 3. That's what's hard about it. Like, the velocities changed from something to something else, but instead of averaging those two velocities, we just stuck to our guns, much like problem 4 and problem 5 of homework 2. We just stuck to our guns and said, fine, where did he start? Where did he end? Or where did she start? Where did she end? And how much time did it take? Well, the whole homework itself said that she started at -2. Like, if you just read the instructions on the in your DFP step 1, you'll see that at the end of 3 seconds, she was at the marker -2 feet. And where did she end up? Well, we just figured out in the last question. She ended up, at the 7th second, not ended up for the whole thing, but ended up at 7th second at -2. So she ended up where she started. It was a round trip, a closed path. The average velocity was 0. So that's the answer. That's the end of that homework. Now, I have 7 minutes, like, according to my own little plan here. Thank you for reminding me. So moving on to homework 2. The first 3 questions, the warm-ups, I honestly, almost every single person got correct if they read the questions carefully. I'll just say that right now. I think the answers were 30 miles per hour. Sorry. The answers for the first 3, I'm just going to say it quick. The answers were 30 miles per hour, 10 yards per day, and 186 million miles, which there's a better way to write in scientific notation, but whatever. I think if you have any issues, email me or text me about those. But if you didn't get all the points, it's because I don't care how easy it might seem to you, I need to see all the steps, including a diagram, even or especially if I didn't provide you with one. Okay, but then you get to the harder stuff. We have 6 minutes. I think the harder stuff, the Hill figure. Now I will cut to the chase here. The answer is, well, step 3. So it asks you what's the average speed for this whole up, down, really this closed path journey. You go up some hill, you come down the same hill, but you go up at 40 miles per hour, you come down at 60. It's asking what's the average speed for the whole thing, right? That's the question. I'm going to skip to step 3. So the only thing we know still is that average speed equals distance over time. I could write it as an equation, or I will maybe, but strictly speaking, this is a speed situation. Like we go up and then we go down. So I just want to think about speed for a minute. Or it asks, what's the speed, average speed, right? So I'm leaving it in English for the moment. All right. That's the only possible step 3 that you could write down. Then where things get interesting is in step 4. If you took the number 40 and the number 60 and added them together and divided by 2, I understand why you did that. You're not crazy. You're a good person. But that didn't follow step 3 if you do that. That's following some statement of math that you once learned about averaging numbers, which if you believe it applies, then write that down as step 3, right? In other words, some of you got 50 for this, but 50 is not the right answer. I mean, yeah, some of you got 50. 50 is not the right answer. Interestingly, a lot of you got 100 because a lot of you added 40 and 60 literally just together and then didn't divide by anything. That's also not correct. 100 is not the answer. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, what if you want to get the rest of the points and redo this, 100 is also not correct. And honestly, I'm not really sure what I think there. Maybe you're not being careful. I'm not sure why, but like you're confusing distances with average speeds or something. But okay, but what do you do? What do you do? Well, I'll say this, I'll spell this out in more detail on Wednesday. I will do this because it's like there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of different ways to do it. But to cut to the chase, I guess, since we have 3 minutes, I will say that I believe the final answer here, okay, discuss on Wednesday. I will do this in more detail. But just to give you a head start, or like, I believe it turns out, it does turn out that the average speed for the whole thing is 48 miles per hour. Now, a lot of people did get that. And a lot of people I still criticize for not showing me how they got it properly. So that's what I will talk about more Wednesday. But let me say, but a lot of people didn't get that. That is the answer. But let me just start by saying it's the answer because we never said average speed. We never said that to get average speed, you should average speeds. We said it's total distance over time. Now, you might say, I have 2 minutes left. You might say, well, but that's stupid then. I mean, if average speed doesn't mean, oh, do we not have class on Wednesday? Wait, oh my God. Wait. Oh, okay. So I mean, oh my God, okay. So I mean, next, are you kidding me? Wait, okay. I mean, next class. Well, I guess I must have intuited that because I just wrote it. Lincoln's birth. Well, happy birth. Okay. Wait, but next Tuesday. Oh yeah, that's crazy, right? Next Tuesday is a month. Oh my God, right. Okay. Oh, that's so crazy. Right. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. If you can't do, teach. You know that expression, those who can't do, teach. Well, those who can't manage space and time teach physics, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. So I have 1 more minute. So yes, next class, I will slow down and explain this thoroughly because a lot of people did get the right answer, but I don't like their explanation, or I'm not sure that they really understand their own explanation. And then a lot of people got it wrong. Here's the one quick thing I'll say right now is this is an example where if you really take step 3 seriously, it will launch you into step 4. And step 4, you should explain out. Don't just do equations, but explain them in words as you go. Even if you used a past video to get this, that's great. But then then explain what you now understand. Why 48 is a correct answer with 1 minute left. I want you to know average speed does mean average speed. We're not now inventing a new meaning to the word. If you were thinking, well, it should be like an average, and if it's not an average, I hate physics. No, it is an average. But if you think about it, the person went slower up the hill and then faster down the same hill. So the person definitely spent more time going at the slower speed than Papa Smurf did at the faster speed. It is an average, but it's like a weighted average. It's not like you got a 40 on a test and then a 60 on a test. It's like you got a certain bunch of 40s and then a different bunch, fewer 60s. How much different? Well, you're going 2/3 as slow on the way up. So I bet you spent 3/2 as much. I bet you spent 2/3 as much time on the way down. It's like you got a 40 and a 40 and a 40 and a 60 and a 60. Like 3 40s and 2 60s. Average those together, you'll get 48. Is that how I did it? No, I will show you more rigorously how to use the physics, but that's why the answer makes sense. That the answer is closer to 40 than it is to 60 because we spent more time going 40, and the independent variable for all of this stuff is time. So it is an average, but it's a weighted average. You don't need extra different math to do it. You just need to take the physics seriously. And similarly, the answer to the very last question, for exactly the same reason, if you go back and think about it, and you can all redo this stuff and get all the points, the very last question is infinite speed. She'd have to go at infinite speed for all the same logic if you think it through. It's harder, but that's the answer to the last one, is infinite speed. That is an answer in physics. I mean, I'm not saying you could build the equipment to do it, but that's the answer. Okay, that's 11:55. Okay, so Noah, oh my God, yeah, Tuesday, right. Everything you're saying in the chat, yeah, LOL. See you wait, will I see you Tuesday? I mean, I know I'm supposed, yes, I will see you Tuesday. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. Okay, but yes. You're all amazing. Seriously, thank you. I'm going to go now so I can fix my technology for the next class. Thank you for being so indulgent. Email me or text me if you have any issues on any of this stuff. Bye-bye. Yes, bye. Thank you. Bye. Have a good day. Yeah. Okay.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes, if I can't answer quickly now, we'll schedule. Okay, yeah.
For homework number 2, it's just that you said that I had to check comments on the document.